Hello, hello, everyone. It is so great to see so many of you join our masterclass today. I am going to wait just a couple of minutes before we begin, so we give everybody a chance to be here as we start. And I think the class is set up so the attendees are not able to speak at the moment, but if you would like to say hi on the chat, please do. Or if there's an option for me to allow for you to talk, I could do that as well. All right, here I go. So I'm allowing you guys to talk now so we can at least communicate a little bit. Hi, Veronique, good to see you.
Good to see you, my dear. Can you see me because it looks like camera.
I think the video is not enabled, I think, because it's like a webinar setup. That's
Okay.
why I think it's not enabled.
Okay, happy to see you.
Same here. So glad you could make it. I will introduce you to the class at the very end, Veronique, as we are doing a class together, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely, with great pleasure. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hi, Carolyn. I do see. Hi, welcome.
Hello.
Oh, great that you could make it. I do see Freedom. Hi. And many of you also joining in. So many people now, I can't keep up with the names, but so great to have all of you here. We're just going to begin in a minute. And Funa has the hand up, so I'm gonna, yes, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. Great to have you. Oh, I do see so many of you. Great, great. It's great participation. I hope we have a great session together with lots of learning. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So what I will do now is get started because we are at the hour and everyone who comes in can just join in at their own pace is what I'm hoping. All right, so just let me move to the webinar. Yay. Beautiful, and I can see the chat now as well, which is so great. Alrighty, so let us get started, shall we? So, a beautiful good morning or good evening, wherever you're joining from. It's my pleasure to bring this masterclass to all of you, where we're going to talk a little bit about navigating job search by design. And what we will be doing actually is taking a look at the career design chart and try to give meaning to it from the point of view of job queries. If you're looking for your next role or job, or maybe you're a consultant, you're a coach, you might be a human designer, a BG5 professional coach. And how can you take this angle and help your clients with the information is what I want to bring into this discussion. Okay. All right. So a brief introduction to me, because I've seen names and I don't know all of you. So I thought it would be appropriate to introduce myself as we start the discussion. I'm Banu, and I have spent 25 years in the IT industry, in the corporate world, where I held many different roles. And for the last 9 years now, I have been interested in BG5. I've studied it, I've become consultant in it, I've done all the advanced certifications, and then I was asked to teach. I've been teaching for the Institute, helping consultants with this knowledge. as well for the last 5 years. And last year, I spun myself out of the corporate world, and now I'm an entrepreneur. So that's my new passion. And again, it's centered around helping people align with their true self so they can be successful at work, and also how can they be fulfilled and satisfied with their jobs and what they do within the business structure that they're part of. And the legacy I really want to leave behind is to be someone who's really helped many people bring out the best out of themselves. And many of you probably know human design also tells us our life purpose. And mine is to be a great teacher, dedicated to explaining the same thing over and over again, furthering education, yes, and also change, and always interested in what comes next. So when I first learned that, it gave me chills, and I kind of thought BG5 is it, yes. And below this slide, you can also see my tags on LinkedIn. So if you want to connect, let's do that as well. Okay, so as I shared in the beginning, I actually designed this webinar specifically for those who are looking for a career change. You might be in the process of a job or role search, or if you're a consultant, how can you help your clients who are in these situations maybe, and maybe asking for your support? Yes. So what we will be doing is going into the details of the BG5 career design blueprints, yes, and I'll share with you some insights that I think may be useful for you. On top of course, what you already know to land that next job or role you're dreaming about, that will make you feel at peace, maybe feel that success or satisfaction. So before we begin, just please make sure you have your personal chart ready, which you can actually pick up from the Institute site. So what I could do is just drop a link into the chat as well. So you can, if you don't have your chart, just go ahead and get it, please. So you know what we're talking about, yes. I actually wanted to do a quick poll, but I'm going to have to see if the system will allow me to pull that through. Let's see. Beautiful. Okay, so I want to launch a very quick poll that will ask you the question around your familiarity with the human design and BG5 knowledge, which I'm pulling up right now. So if you could just answer the poll, I will have an understanding around how much you know. So then I can tailor it. Do we really have to go into all the details, or maybe everybody already knows the basics and we concentrate more on the other stuff, which is more the tips and tricks around how to really do this. Okay, so I have 6 people who already answered. Let's see if anyone else wants to offer theirs. All right. So what I'm seeing right now is so I'm going to end this poll now because I have quite some participation now from all of you. And I can share the results with you. So we have a bigger portion of the audience who's familiar either with human design or BG5, but not formally educated on it. I have some of you who are going through or have already become the official certified consultants, either from IHDS or from the BG5 Business Institute. And then we have just a few new people. So what I'm going to try to do is try to balance it so everybody can take something from this webinar that we're going to be running, and this is of value to you, so something that you could do something with. So I actually am going to cover 2 things in your design today, and starting off with the career type. Yes, we usually know our type, yes, but then if I ask you, so how do you use it in your job search, let's say, or do you really use it with awareness? Sometimes we pass by it. Some things stay at the knowledge level and not at the application level. That's why I want to hone into it a little bit. And then we are going to be discussing about the profile, which is about, it can map into how you are here to market yourself. Okay. And the webinar, I think, will be taking about 2 hours. I think it might take up to 2 hours. And then, because at the very end, maybe just the speaking part won't be, but at the very end, I want to spend a little bit time with you. If you have any real life situations you wanted to ask about, or anything we can collectively look at, we could spend some time around that at the very end, if that's okay with everyone. And there will be a recording, of course. So if it's just too long or you just need to go, please do so. And then you can always catch up on the recording later. Right. Okay, so let me get started with the career type. As some of you know, and some of you are new, but our career type is actually how we navigate in life in the easiest and effortless way. Yes? So it's the most natural way for anyone to utilize their energy. And if we could live in alignment with our career design, we can go with the flow and things will go in at their own pace without forcing it too much, without meeting resistance too much. But if we're not aligned with our career design, we may be forcing things, we might be acting from our mind too much, maybe we might be exhausted or in the wrong job, which is not the preferred way if you think about how long of a time we spend actually in our jobs. Yes, it takes a quite big portion of our life. So it's important to our well-being what we do in business as well, whether you work for a company, whether you have your own company, or even if you are a consultant. Yes. So this slide you're probably familiar with, unless you're very new, but everybody's somehow familiar with the types. Yes. So very briefly, it's the initiators that get things up and running. It's our builders that provide the energy to move things along. Advisors would guide the process, and then the evaluators tell them how well things are going or not. And if you haven't had any BG5 education prior to this, you would see that the terminology that we use in BG5, the business application of human design, is a little bit different than the human design language, which is a little more esoteric, sometimes a little more spiritual. So for the business application, these are the terms that we use for types, which resonates better with the business world, especially if you're speaking to some people who are who've never had any contact with or no knowledge about what human design really is. So in your chart, if you already have your chart, you might know your type, or maybe you just retrieved your chart. At the very top, it will tell you what your career type actually is. So now, just for us to see who's participating, I want to pull up another poll, if I can, and just trying to understand what your career type is. We have some builders, advisors, we have an initiator as well. Yes, beautiful. All right. So I'm just gonna end this now and publish it. So we have 50% builders, we have 42% advisors, we have an initiator, but we don't have any evaluators in this at this moment in time in this, but I'm going to spend time on all the types because you might be coaching clients, you might know people who need your help, friends, yes, who are in those types. So the knowledge might be of use to you, even if it's not your type. Usually, of course, the builder population in the world is bigger. However, I do see a lot of advisors being pulled to this knowledge, like myself, because it's a great way of really helping people and guiding them in finding alignment with their design so they can be more successful and satisfied and at peace with themselves. So let's start with the builders then, yes, because they are the life force. They are the ones who really provide the energy and the momentum in business. Yes. So as you know, builders have a lot of energy and they are here to get the job done. And great at building, growing, maintaining a business. Builders are really here to create. It's why they're here, yes. And then they also have this enormous energy, beautiful energy that they can pour into something that they love. So love what you do what you love is the motto for a builder that we always voice when we speak to any builder community, yes, or anybody who's working with builders. So the good thing with builders is they will thrive in jobs that they are really interested in. And if their gut is responding yes to that, to the work they're doing, to the job they're doing, it just has this multiplier effect on their beautiful energy that they can continue pouring into their work. And it's a win-win situation because the more satisfied they are, the more they can do. And the business benefits and our builders, of course, benefit from that as well. Now, the key to successful job search or any type of business engagement for a builder is waiting to respond before they engage. Yes. In the business world, a lot of us, and even before we get into business, I guess, we are really taught that we should think through things with our minds, yes, just weigh things out, and then we make decisions. We are told to go out and make things happen, which is not the true strategy for a builder, actually. So here are a few tips on job quest that I have for builders. The number one thing is, of course, to open up your awareness to anything that shows up in your world, yes, from the business world that you're part of that energizes you or excites you. Or it might be not part of the business world that you are in right now, but you might be energized or excited for some other. It could be a different industry. It could be moving from corporate life to entrepreneurship or moving from corporate life to coaching, for example. So what energizes you, what excites you is really important. So the first part is always opening up your awareness to see what's showing up. And this could be anything. Let's say you're driving to the airport. On the billboard, let's say you see SAP, the future of technology, something, yes. So if you feel good about it, that billboard that you saw, maybe their slogan, then you can respond to that. You can go and check that company out. Maybe you will see if they have any roles for you that you might be interested in. Or maybe you find some friends who work there, yes, or they might have connections there. So if your gut is responding yes when you moved by that billboard, yes, then you should look into it. You can respond to it in a positive manner. The other thing you could do, for example, is for you to get things to respond to, you could go to network events, yes, see what comes up. Because the way a builder's energy works is that your energy works like a magnet. So if you have your intention in finding your next role, in finding your next job, maybe your next company, because your energy works like a magnet, it's a very high chance that you will start attracting things to yourself. So when you go start mingling with people, things will come your way. So then you can respond to them. Yes. And once these things are coming your way, you want to pay attention to what you're excited about. So is your energy really bubbling up? Is it building up towards your job? yes, that whatever it is that you heard, yes. So people might be talking about, oh, this company I heard about, or you saw SAP on the billboard, or your friend is talking about this role. So see how your gut is responding to that. Because if you're excited, it might be a yes. Yes, in the end, you always need to make the decisions with your decision-making strategy, of course. And for some builders, it might mean you should sleep on it before you jump into anything. But as long as you're responding and you're excited and your gut is saying yes, it's worth looking into. Yeah. So you want to pay attention to about what you're excited about, really. So the key message here is trust that the life will unfold because your energy will pull it to you when you set your intention on it, and don't initiate. Yes. So if you give the world, the universe, the message that you're interested in something, things will start coming your way anyway, and you can start responding to them. Now, let's continue on more specific tips. So these are the things I could think of that I wanted to share with you. It's quite an exhaustive list. And you might see that some of them, your gut, if you're a builder especially, your gut might be responding, yes, this sounds right to me. Yes. So take a look at what serves you. So the first tip is to build connections. You really have this ability to naturally attract people and opportunities to yourself. So as I was saying, you can attend networking events, maybe industry gatherings, conferences, yes. And if you focus on building these authentic and meaningful connections, yes, and you engage in conversations that align with your interests and goals, then you will have things to respond to. Another tip is to, of course, utilize professional online platforms. Yes, maybe LinkedIn. There might be a local version of it where you're located. Yes. So if you leverage these platforms to showcase your skills, to showcase your experience, your accomplishments, and then maybe you can also start engaging with the industry-related content, if your gut is saying yes. Join relevant groups and connect with professionals in your desired field, let's say. If you share your insights and expertise, then you will start attracting opportunities to you. So this was a long suggestion list maybe, but see what, as I'm speaking, see if your gut is responding, yes, these are the things you can do. And then maybe if you're emotionally defined, you sleep over it. And then if it's still a yes, you continue with that yes response of your gut and move to action. Another thing that you could do is just a suggestion for these platforms is to create job alerts. Yes. So LinkedIn, for example, allows you to create job alerts. And most of the companies, their own websites that accept CVs and applications and all that, they will also allow job alerts. So if there's a job in your desired, whatever you marked, they send you an email, or LinkedIn will give you some pop-ups. So then, because if you do this, when the job alert comes, you have something to respond to. So you can, it's a great way of honoring your decision-making strategy. And if you're really excited about something, and then it's just great for you to just continue with it. Yeah. So if your gut says yes, then the job alert really gives you an opportunity. Another thing I could suggest is to turn on the open to work. Yes, it's a badge that you can put on your profile photo that LinkedIn allows. Some platforms might have similar things, but this is the most common, so that's why I brought this up. This will actually allow you to get the word out that you're looking for something new. And then if anything comes back in terms of a job, then you can respond to it. So that's one thing that you can do. And I saw one thing on LinkedIn over Sunday as I was preparing this, so I brought it here. So somebody, her name was Courtney, And she introduced the desperate banner in LinkedIn. She says, you know, because she was laid off, and she says, you know, when you turn on, some people are not at peace with putting the open to work banner because they feel bad about it. They might think they're going to get a label around it. But then she thought it's just somebody's, when you turn on open to work, or she took it to the next level, as you can see, the desperate banner. She saw it as a sense of pride in taking pride in yourself and telling the world that they can, you're here to offer your talent to what serves you, of course. So I wanted to just bring that up for everyone to see, which kind of was nice over the weekend when I saw it. So the open to work, of course, will allow the recruiters to reach out to you and companies to reach out to you and your network to know that you're interested in something. Yeah? The other one that I wanted to recommend is to explore the referrals and recommendations. Because if you start speaking to the people around you, maybe you don't want to speak to everybody, but you want to speak to some people. Let's say you're in a corporate job and you want to change roles. You want to move to a different department. Yes, like I worked in, for example, I started in customer service, I moved to marketing, then I moved to sales. And when I was doing that, it was through the discussions with my managers and my one-on-ones that I voiced an interest. I'm not a builder myself, an advisor, so the invitation being there for me was important, but just those one-on-ones are actually giving me a platform, an invitation to speak about it. It applies similarly with the builders. When you start speaking to people around you, it can be your manager, it can be the HR, or people in your network who can help. Yes, because if you start speaking to them, they can mention opportunities to you that you can respond to. Also reaching out to your existing network, yes, through some, it can be an email, a message, or anything. So they let you know when there are job openings. Because your energy works in a very attractive way, you naturally attract people. This can really be a powerful asset in obtaining recommendations also for suitable positions, because then the people you spoke to can really recommend you. And if you really get this, let's talk or send us your CV, you can see how you're responding. If your gut is responding yes, then why not? The other one is, we talked about the industry-specific events where you can really meet people, yes. And the good thing is not only meeting people, but people get to meet you as well. They get to see your energy. They get to see your passion, yes, especially if this is something you're interested in, yes, if you want to move into it, I'm assuming you would be really excited about it, this new thing that you want to do, if you know whatever industry that you want to move into. Then if you engage in active discussions as well and showcase your passion, you might be attracting more than you thought of. The other suggestion would be to engage with recruitment agencies. If you collaborate with recruitment agencies, maybe that specialize in what you're interested in, or if you're in a company and you want to make a cross-company move, you could speak to maybe the recruiters within the company, which might lead to job offers, yes, through the recruiters' networks as well, and gives you something to respond to again. Yeah. And when I kind of always bring it to something to respond to, but it's really important to tap into your body intelligence and understand how your gut is responding. For some builders that I've spoken to, I'm not a builder myself, but throughout the years, of course, I've had a lot of opportunities to speak to many builders around how do they feel their gut saying yes. Some of them tell me they will really hear sounds. Some of them tell me they have this excitement, like these butterfly things or lots of energy they feel in their gut. Some of them tell me it's just like they start getting energized, all pumped up when they hear about something. Or maybe it might be just a nod. Yes, it's a no. So Your gut speaks in both ways. And I've also heard some builders tell me they get this forward movement, this forward and upward, like I'm moving with lots of energy type of movement within their body when their gut is responding yes to something. So it's up to you to discover, and maybe many of you have, to see how your gut responds yes and how it responds no to something. It's also important to prepare for interviews if possible. Yes. So in the interviews, you can highlight your ability to really build, grow, maintain a business, showcase your passion, your enthusiasm. Let the hiring manager or the HR person you're speaking to know that you have this energy that you can pour into something. Follow your passion and listen to your gut. Yeah. If you trust that intuition, that gut intuition that you have, respond to what feels right, what your energy resonates with, your gut will guide you towards the right path. Yes. Of course, if you have emotional intelligence defined, you want to sleep on it before you make those decisions. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to move now to advisors. And if you have any questions, just feel free to just pop them in the chat. I can't look at it all the time, but I will look into it. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. So let me move on to the next. After a sip of water for me. Okay, advisors like me. So for us, of course, we are usually recognized, yes, and we are good at organizing things, leading individuals, groups, and businesses and systems. Advisors usually can see the big picture, and they can recognize the talents of others as well. So they're all about mastering systems. It's not about doing smaller things, maybe. They have a keen intellect. They like looking at bigger things and mastering things from a system perspective. And the energy is always designed in a way that advisors are seen and noticed. And they're really great at asking questions. Yes. So the advisor can guide others by asking them the right questions. And this is something I want to tap into, also talking about the job quest. Yes. So the key to an advisor's design is always that recognition and invitation that needs to be there. But just because you have the recognition and invitation doesn't mean it's true, it's good for you. Yes, there's a second part of an advisor's decision-making that you should tap into. We're not going to cover decision-making strategies here, but I'm sure many of you know your decision-making strategy or your strategy and authority around making those right decisions for yourself at the right time. And if not, there's free available resources on the BG5 BI website as well that you could look into if you're interested to understand more. So for an advisor, the important thing is opening up the awareness. If you're going to look for a job, look for a different business, yes, or cross move within the same company, changing of roles. The first thing, of course, is to open up your awareness. And then actively waiting for those job opportunities to come to you. And then if you're recognized and you're invited, then you can make the decision around whether it's right for you or not, yes? So it could be based on your intuitive knowing, emotional clarity, or listening to what you say, yes, to understand whether that invitation is correct for you or not. As an example, as an advisor myself, practically, I've spent 25 years in the corporate world, as I've shared. And then I moved to do my own practice, and we set up my own company as an entrepreneur. But practically, I've never applied for a job. The way it happened is I've always been invited into my next role or job. So it was interesting after I learned it to look back and see how I was always invited into my next role. Even the teaching, for example, for the Institute has come by recognition and invitation. Running this masterclass was based on an invitation, yes. So I really honor this, do I have that recognition or invitation? And it's really, it's been the way for me in my corporate life as well. And does that mean I never applied for jobs, by the way? You know, I did, but I never got accepted into roles that I initiated as well. So the ones that moved smoothly for me, where I enjoyed, where I stayed for a long time, yes, was always by invitation or recognition. So that's important for the advisors. Now, let me just quickly move to some job quests for advisors. The first thing I want to recommend is for the advisors to look at the areas that you're recognized in, or the areas where you're being invited in. Yes. Are you recognized in, let's say, numbers? Maybe you're good at finance, you're good at sales. Yes, you're recognized there. You're good at public speaking. People recognize your skills to address public. So see, for example, what you're recognized in. For me, for example, even if when I was younger, being a student, and the teachers would make me come up, you know, talk about something, they always told me, you should be a teacher. I mean, I had this thing, but it came to me later around how I was being recognized by it when I was even little. And then when I found my life purpose, I saw what it was. It was very interesting for me to find out. So you want to look into these areas that you're recognized in. So that's important. The other part, the other thing I want to recommend is, of course, leveraging your network. Because networking can lead to recognition and invitations for you, yes, that could really align with your skills and talents. So again, you can speak to your colleagues, maybe your manager, the HR person, or maybe you are thinking about moving out of the corporate world and you want to do an entrepreneurial job. You want to set up your own company. Maybe you're going to start a startup, yes? Then maybe you become part of the Startup Association in your relevant geography, and you start networking there. Yes, maybe you're looking for the right people to make a startup engagement with. Then maybe you'll meet them there, and it will lead to invitations. So wherever you want to move and however you want to move, leveraging your network can give you invitations and recognition. So see if you can, it's something that you want to do. Again, working on your online presence is, of course, important. Having a strong online presence through the professional platforms, or maybe personal blogs or websites could be as well. So if you share your wisdom as an advisor, your insights, your expertise, so then you start catching people's eyes, yes? So you can showcase, for example, your ability to see the big picture and your keen intellect, and people will recognize that. And then that might lead into invitations for you. Again, I recommend that open to work, turning on the open to work for recruiters to see you and invite you. You don't need to turn it on for the open public too. You could just do it for recruiters if you wanted. So if it feels correct, I recommend that you do. The other thing I could recommend is to join the professional associations as well. If you are part of a field of interest and there are some associations around it, then you can start engaging there, maybe start contributing there. You can offer your insights. Maybe you can take some roles. And being active in such communities can increase your visibility. So then it will attract that recognition from the peers and probably from your potential employers. Or if you're going to do your own thing, maybe you'll meet your tribe or, you know, get some finance. But it's always good to be connected. We're going to spend some time, of course, on the profile as well, which is more important for some profiles. Yes, the networking bit. But again, in today's business world, I think it's important for all of us because business doesn't exist in a vacuum. Business is done, you know, there's a client, there's a vendor, there's a person who's buying, there's suppliers. So it's like an interaction. So that networking bit or intermingling, yes, it doesn't need to be networking solely, is important. So Barbara has a question. So you don't have to be invited into a professional association, is certain. Barbara, I'm going to come to that. I honestly, it was my last point, actually. Well, let's come to it right now, and then I'll go back to my other points. What I wanted to actually speak about at the very end for advisors is, should you apply for roles if you're supposed to wait? Or just on Barbara's question, so should you be invited into a professional association or you're supposed to wait? The thing I would recommend, and this is my personal thing, yes, and I do get asked a lot as an advisor myself. So if an advisor is supposed to wait, should the advisor do something, jumping into things and applying for roles? My answer is yes, and it's a selective yes in a way. And here's what I mean by that. In the decision making for an advisor, when you wait for that recognition and invitation, that waiting is an actively waiting. It's not like lay on the couch and wait for something to come your way type of waiting. So actively waiting for me requires that you take responsibility in some ways. Yes. If you don't have a CV ready, how are you going to respond, yes, to an invitation? Or honor an invitation. If you don't have a proper good online presence, how are people going to give you invitations? So that actively waiting part for me is taking responsibility as an advisor and being ready for these things. So, and should you just jump into an association without being invited? For me, it's like a why not? Yes. And I personally have found, I can give you an example from my own very recent example, actually, because I moved full-time to living in another country. And this is where we're settling as a family. We're establishing our company here. We established our company here already. So we're trying to get into this community now. So what I did was, like, I went in and became members of the chambers of commerce. We're in Luxembourg. So there's the British Chamber of Commerce. There's the AmCham, the American Chamber of Commerce. There's a business network that's being run. There's the Startup Association. So I just went in and just subscribed myself, just put me in the newsletter type of thing. Yes. And then I went to an event. I just registered the company for it because these are not really big decisions where I could lose something. And then, like, the first event I got invited into more things just because I was there, just going there. So unless it's like a big thing coming your way, then it's all right for you to do these under the actively waiting thing. That's what I do, actually. And Carolyn just wrote, builders look for jobs that light them up, bring them joy. Is that just as important for advisors? Or is it more important for us to feel valued and recognized rather than feel joy? So Carolyn, here is my take on it. I think for the builders, when we speak about them gravitating towards jobs that light them up, bringing them joy, that what I try to underline there, and for them to really understand, is they need to tap into their gut. Yes. So however they can hear their gut is important, because gut is the energizing mechanism within their body. And if they go into a job that's not giving them that joy, the gut is not responding yes and is energized, then it might even be detrimental to their health, that they made the wrong choice of a job. Yes. So that's why I think it's very important for builders to look into jobs that light them up and bring them joy. For advisors, because there's no gut response, there are other responses. Yes, maybe it's their intuitive knowing, or maybe they need to wait their emotional cycle. For them, just like you said, I think it's more important that they're recognized and invited into something. And it doesn't have to be invited, just the recognition is okay, yes. And then they will see if their decision-making strategy is saying yes. So let's say I get recognized in something or I get invited. For me, it's intuitive. So it's in the moment. Whenever I get it, then I can make a decision around whether that role is important for me or not. Yeah. But for builders, very important that they're guided by their gut feeling. And Freedom says, is it ever recommended to bring up human design or BG5 as part of applying, interviewing, pitching oneself? Having one's human design BG5 profile printed and maybe even cross-reference to the job description or startup requirements may show a third-party reason certification that no other application leader would have. I'll again give a personal answer to your question. And by the way, if anybody from the audience wants to offer any answers, just we're here to help each other, and there's so much learning that can happen within the community and all the participants here. So feel free to type in anything that you want to share around this question. So here is my take on it. For me, I always had my BG5 study, certification, and everything listed on my CV as part of my certifications and what I did. After all, it's my passion. Yes. So for me, I always had it on. Should you really have it as a, like in human design terminology, in BG5 terminology, just as is? It depends. If the person, usually business people in the business world usually are not aware about our terms, like being an advisor, or the human design terms, they're even less so familiar because they're not so intuitive either. So, and that's why Freedom, I designed this webinar, because we're trying to take components of what BG5 and human design is telling us, and we're interpreting it into business language. So then people in the business world will understand. So for example, the recommendation for builders to talk about their energy, to talk about how much joy they take from doing things they love, the energy they can offer. It's all actually about being a builder that you're putting into your CV, speaking in your interview. Yes, you're not telling them I'm a builder, but you're telling everything about being a builder. So I recommend you put into your CV or within the interview everything about your design that will stand out, that will support you. And as we move to the profiles, I have some more offerings that actually I will give tips and tricks on what to put on, actually. For example, I'm a 6'2", so I'm a leader in natural. I'm a role model, yes. So all of that you could see in my CV, which I will share with you at the very end of the masterclass as well, just to see what I brought up. So not the actual terminology or as is, but bring in components of it as much as you can. Yeah. And then if within the discussion, the person you're interviewing is really interested, then why not, speak about these as well. But I think it needs to be, if you're responding yes to that, or there's an invitation for you to. So that's what I would recommend. Bring in all the components, translate to business world, and share it with the world, because it's your design and it's what you're here to offer to the world and to the business world as well. All right, let me continue. So, what else? Okay, so the other thing was seeking referrals, because then these people will know you and they can recommend you and you can get invitations. Connecting with recruitment firms, why not? Again, for me, it would be part of like getting into the recruitment firm's database or just reaching out to them. It could be a way of them getting to know you. So I also factored that into the actively waiting part, for example. And here is an example, for example, for me, it was kind of through invitation, but when I first applied I worked at Microsoft for 13 years. And when I was first moving in and applied for my first role, it was through like a friend's invitation somehow, but I applied to a role. And then I didn't get accepted, but just because I applied to the role, which I kind of felt it wasn't right for me. But I went in anyhow. So then what happened was I got introduced to the HR, which they called me back 6 months later. And they wanted to interview me for another job, which I got into. So that's how I got into Microsoft. So things like this can happen. So again, honor your intuition just a little bit. And don't forget the actively waiting part. Yes, don't jump into everything. But for some of the things, why not? Like recruitment firms should know you. You should have a good profile on LinkedIn. Those are okay, I think, to do. And then you go with the flow and you, of course, honor your decision making. In the interviews, another tip for the advisors for the interviews is to ask questions in the interviews, because the advisors are really great at asking questions, right? And if within your interview, you can ask the right questions in a way during the interview process, it will show your depth as well and your wisdom. So you don't need to force yourself to prepare some questions. I think they will come automatically to you when you do these things, and people notice. Lots of examples coming to me. I went for an interview. So they took me into, this was when my younger years. They took me into the meeting room where I was supposed to meet this marketing director of the company who was going to interview me. And I was looking at the evacuation charts. I was waiting for him to come. I was looking at the evacuation charts under emergency, and I saw something there. And he comes in and he goes, "You're reading evacuation charts?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was reading evacuation charts, but I was wondering, why didn't they put something? Something caught my eye. There was something missing in there, I think." I just asked him a question. "Why didn't they put this? Because it's a little awkward." And he goes, "I think you might be the first one who noticed that. I will let them know." So it was like a small interaction that just happened. That's like, nothing to do with the interview. But then he saw like my paying attention to detail, my curiosity. I asked him a question and then he got something out of it. It told him something about me. Yes, we don't need to force these things. They will happen on their own anyways, because of your wisdom and the things you see. But it's always good to be just the person you are and trust that the other person will see your wisdom. So this is what I have for the advisors. Yes, Barbara, you're very welcome. Let's move to initiators now. Again, initiators, I believe we had a couple in the audience here. So you're the ones who are designed to make things happen. Yes, you can get the ball rolling, you can initiate. And for you, of course, if you don't begin your job search, if you don't initiate your next role, like you moving into that next role, it's not going to happen for you. And you're very impactful as well. So if you want to create impact for yourself, you better get started at it. So job quests for initiators. Number one is, of course, informing. Yes, inform everybody that might be impacted by your job change or move before you take action. Okay, so you can judge whether it's at the very beginning or before you make the move, but make sure you inform. So that's tip number one. It doesn't come very naturally to initiators, but it's important. So things move smoothly for you and everyone else. Again, you go out and initiate. You can introduce yourself to recruiters. You can knock on HR's door. You can knock on the doors of companies you're interested in. If it feels correct, yes, your decision making is telling you this is the way forward. Yes, not your mind. Of course, you need to be careful about that. You can write up a cover letter, attach your resume, and start the conversation. It will work for you if your decision making is saying yes. Yeah. Again, you could design a proactive approach to your job search. You could reach out to potential employers. You could reach out to a network of people. Yes, start exploring opportunities that align with your skills and goals. you can also, while you're writing your resume and your cover letter, you can tailor it and you can highlight your ability to initiate and start projects. Just like I was answering Freedom just a moment ago, around bringing components of your design into your resume. So like initiating things, working on incubation projects, maybe working on startups, yes? And starting things is something that an initiator should definitely mention. So then you can also showcase your past experience. Maybe you took the lead and you made a significant impact. So you can talk about these things. Again, in the interview for initiators, you can highlight like instances where you initiated projects, you implemented new ideas, you made a difference through your proactive action, because it makes you stand out, yes? Because initiators are also, they have this forward-looking vision, you can also communicate your ability to glimpse into the future, yes? And your excitement to drive progress. Another recommendation I would really want to give the initiators who are either participating or watching this is to seek roles that allow independence. Also, working for companies at the same time that value independence and that value proactive action. Because if an initiator is empowered, if you're empowered, you can really thrive. So look for those roles where you can make a change, where you can really make things happen. Yes, so that will really align well with your nature. But if you move into a role or a company where everything is dictated, if you move into a team where it's very micromanaged, it might not serve you well. Yeah. It's always good, like also if you're searching for companies, explore their values. Everybody has like their vision, mission statement, and their company values listed. See what they're talking about. Do they talk about empowerment, taking initiative of employees? Or do they talk a lot about abiding by the rules and watching out for everyone? You never know. But once you read it, you'll have that feeling, is that company right for you or not? And then you can initiate things and go ahead. So that's for initiators. And let's move now to evaluators. Yes. We didn't have, when I did the poll, we didn't have anybody, but there we might have evaluators watching, or I have consultants here who might be coaching and working with evaluators. So evaluators really express their gifts when they're at the heart of a business. They're at the heart of a community. Yes, they can really feel that bigger community. And when they're allowed to move freely, yes, they could really facilitate the group, sense how things are going. They're very accepting of each other, of others as well. Yes, and they're very unique. And another very important thing for an evaluator is, of course, for them to be in the right environment. It's really key for an evaluator. If the environment is not right, this holds true for everyone who has their identity and direction not defined. Yes, environment is really important, but more important for evaluators. Yes, because they reflect the environment they're part of. If they're in chaos, if they're in tension, those company environments or a part of a team or a workplace that's not serving them well, it wouldn't really be to their benefit. So that's also very important in that sense. All right, I'm going to come back to the two questions that are on the chat. Let me just finish the evaluators and then I'll offer some perspectives. So tips for evaluators. Again, networking through meaningful connections really works, but building those genuine relationships rather than trying to fit in, yes, to some, networking mold. Yes. Maybe you want to be part of smaller gatherings, intimate gatherings, where you can really connect with individuals at a deeper level. because an evaluator's presence is so quiet and gentle, it's important for them to be noticed in a way within that community. And for a short time, if they're really lost in a crowd, it might not be the best thing. So it would be good to be part of connections that are more intimate for evaluators in the job search. Yes, it's just a suggestion. There are no absolutes in human design or BG5, so it could be either or. But it's just a suggestion, so you can see if it serves you in a way. Again, in the resume, in the cover letter, an evaluator can highlight their ability to provide objective assessments, for example, how they can embrace diversity. Yes, diversity and inclusion is a big buzzword in the business world and in the world. So you can talk about that in your resume. Also, the facilitation part. For example, you can showcase instances where you've successfully facilitated group dynamics. You contributed to the overall well-being of the community or business. So you could do that. Another suggestion could be to engage in some volunteer work, okay? Or find a way of sampling the environment that you're going to be part of. So if you're a young evaluator, maybe going for an internship within a company, yes? Or sampling the jobs or companies. So does the environment feel correct for you within that role? Like within a finance department, let's say, or within a company, whatever the company name might be, small company, big company, corporate company. So you can sample in a way. If you're an older evaluator and you can no longer do internships, you might offer some volunteer work, or try to engage with people and see the environment. Does it feel correct for you when you're in it? So that might be a good thing to do for an evaluator. Another thing is considering consulting or freelancing because of that objective assessment and reflecting the truth, yes, that an evaluator can offer. You can really utilize these effectively in a way. And if you are doing this consulting or freelancing, being your own boss also allows you to select the right environment for you that's aligned with your strengths. In the interviews to evaluators, I highly recommend they talk about their soft skills. Yes, being at peace with everyone, embracing that diversity, understanding what people are feeling, your ability to facilitate discussions, guide others towards cooperation and peace, for example. You can talk about these things. Not everybody has these skills, so a lot of evaluators do. So it's something you want to mention. And of course, don't rush into anything. Evaluators need to take their time and don't be rushed into thinking the job will not be there. If it was meant for you, it will be there. Take your time. Yes, you will know when you know that it's correct for you. And by bouncing your ideas and soundboarding with people that you know and you trust can also help your decision process into understanding whether that job is correct for you or not, which will lead to a satisfying role or company for you. Yes, so that was for evaluators. Whoa, so many questions coming up. Let's see. Also, Jessica asked, how do we get better at asking questions? Any recommendations? Apart from trusting yourself that you will know what to ask for, which is part of the confidence, yes? So I highly recommend that you trust the process. But if I wanted to offer some tips and tricks, before I go to any interview, before I went to any interviews, I always prepared my questions. It depends on what you're interviewing for, but I always prepared a few questions about the role, I would write them, think about them before, like 3-4 questions, and then I would pick the one that's relevant to the discussion. Maybe about the role, maybe a question to the hiring manager. You know, what's your leadership style? Or how do you think I can create impact within the first 90 days type of thing? So depending on what you're interviewing for, if you think ahead and prepare a couple of things, under stress, interviews sometimes tend to be stressful as well. You will be able to pull up those questions, yes, or tailor something similar to that question. So as an advisor, and during my younger years, it's always helped me to prep up before going into an interview. And Carolyn says, do you feel that advisors with only 2 centers defined might have some similarity with an evaluator? Honestly, advisors and evaluators, they're different. Just because an advisor doesn't have too much definition, lots of openness in their chart, I wouldn't call them similar to an evaluator. Yes, the openness exists, ability to tap into it, having that flexibility, but the mechanics work differently for advisors and evaluators. So yeah, so you would be, Carolyn, an advisor with lots of flexibility, and I would recommend that's the starting point for an advisor. Okay. Katrina says, any recommendations for a 4-6 express builder career? Oh, it could be anything. Yes. So Katrina, now we're going to look into the profiles actually. So I'll have some recommendations around you being a 4 and a 6, around what you can tap into. And then as an express builder, you respond to what comes through. Yes. And your gut will know. And then maybe you can also tap into some of the tips and tricks that you're resonating with here to find what's correct for you. Okay. So now I want to shift gears a little bit and start talking about navigating job quest through your public role. Yes, so the profile, and in BG5, we call it the public role. This is another dimension of your career design blueprint that can really help you with your career move. Yeah. So it's mentioned on your chart. Yes. So like in this example, I have the Pioneer Messenger. Or you might know it by numbers if you know your human design chart through a human design application before. So we have 6 different variations of this, and I have these on the side, as you can see. So authority, 1, natural, 2, pioneer is a 3, and then the influencer is the 4. We have the messenger, the 5, and then the leader, which is the 6. Yeah, so if you know it by numbers, this is how you will relate. But in BG5, we don't talk numbers. We talk about like authority, pioneer, or leader, natural. This is the terminology that we use, which is more descriptive than a number to somebody who doesn't know anything about, this knowledge. So the public role it really describes our authentic character. So if you were playing a role on the stage of life, yes, this would be the costume you're wearing. And it's actually it's your way of fulfilling your life purpose. And as you become more aligned to your true self, as you make the right decisions for yourself, it will be like what you're wearing, your costume will start fitting you better in time. Yes, so you move into it, you grow into it. As you align to your design, as you make the right decisions, you will see that you have a very nice fitting, comfortable as well, and nice looking costume in a way, if I could describe it that way. Yes. And it also talks about how you interact with people and how you impact others as well. Yes. And as I said, it indicates how you fulfill your life purpose. I guess Freedom has a question. Should a 1-3 profile expect to have certain number of bad fits that don't seem to work? Yes, by design, why not? But let's discuss the 1 and the 3, and then we'll come back to these. Yes, but it's part of the process. Yeah, it's for an authority pioneer to try things out. Definitely. All right. Let us jump into the details, and then I'll come back to the questions. Yeah. So beginning with authority, line 1. So if you're an authority, we also talk about this being a detailed authority in BG5 terminology. Yes. It's really about the details and becoming an authority or an expert in something. So how you perceive yourself would be someone who's really investigating things, yes, studying things to the detail, getting to the bottom of things to find that solid foundation. And others will also perceive you as an authority, as a specialist, as an expert in whatever it is that you are an authority in. If you are an authority, so you have that one, you just continue digging until you find the solid foundation. Yes. You tend to be modest as well, absorbed in your own thing until you know all the details. And sometimes there can be a feeling of insecurity because you feel like you need to know so much. And a person who knows 1/3 of what you know could say, I know everything. But for you, you need to keep on digging. So there might be a feeling of insecurity as well in being an authority. And in job interviews, it's very important that you make sure you're not showing yourself like you know less than you know, just because of that feeling that you should know more, because you set those high bar around what you should know for that solid foundation, and that's much deeper than a lot of the people in this world. So you want to be careful around how you position yourself, yes, as well. So I'm gonna come back to that. Okay, so a few keywords to utilize in your resume or your online profile. Just like I was answering, just bringing in components of your design into your interview process, into your resume or your profile on the online platforms. So you want to, for example, mention that you're an expert or authority in something. Yes, you can say, I'm an expert in so-and-so. These are my certifications. Or I've spent so many hours of studying this. So show them you're an authority in something. You can say, for example, I like getting to the bottom of things. Or like, let's say you want to talk about having that solid foundation. Yes, of course, you won't have a solid foundation in everything, but whatever it was that you're passionate about, you will want to have a solid foundation, and you can talk about it. So you can say, I have a solid foundation in sales, for example, that I've built throughout the years, or that I've built through field experience. Yeah? Solid foundation. Authorities, the ones with line 5, if you have it in your public profile, you're creative. So you can talk about how you tackle problems through creative solutions. You can give examples around this. Again, the investigation part, how you investigate, you try to get deep in things. Talk about how you have lots of empathy. Yes, you can talk about, again, sales example, because I've done so much sales, I get a lot of examples in customer relations and stuff, but empathy, I have a lot of empathy and I can resonate well with the customers. Yes, it would work on customer service as well, or any support role. The study part that you enjoy, you can say, I'm an ever learner. I like learning. Yes. And the self-involved part, I'm a self-starter, for example. You can speak about these things as keywords in your resume. So other tips and tricks is to position yourself as an expert. So whatever you're an expert in or you're an authority in, speak about it. Talk about your trainings, your accomplishments, showcase your deep understanding of the field. You can also highlight your investigative skills, how you analyze things, how you look into details, maybe seek solid foundations. Maybe if there is any, you can highlight the achievements that you have through that really required you to go do the research and do the problem solving. Talk about your continuous learning. Yes. A lot of authorities with the ones you are enthusiastic to dig deep. So talk about it because not everybody is. So you can really share how you find fulfillment in uncovering the truth and establishing strong foundations in your work as well. So the last two are, of course, coming from that insecurity and the modesty part. Yes, the last two bullets I have. Don't judge yourself as not knowing enough. You probably know more than a lot of people, okay? Because you're judging yourself, don't let it show in the interview process that you don't know enough. You probably know more than any other applicant. If you're a one, you probably do. So authorities do. So trust that you know. Yes. And don't be, because of this as well, don't be too modest in your interviews. The ones with line ones, the authorities, you tend to be very modest. And it's okay to let go of the modesty in an interview. Yes, you'll know the balance. One thing I didn't mention as I was starting is you might have authority in the beginning of your, because we will have, let me go back to that, the chart. So you might have, like, let's say this one has pioneer messenger. The first one that you have, you will resonate more with because it's in the conscious. Yes. So if you have authority in the first, as the first word in your public role, you might be resonating better with me explaining this. If you have it as the second word, which is your unconscious, then it might be something others see in you or you discover in time. So if it's in the first, it will be more prominent. You will know it better. If it's in the second, you might not be so aware of it, but you still have it. It's part of your design. So just because it's not so apparent to you doesn't mean you don't have it. You have it. Okay. So you can listen with that eye as well. So something I wanted to mention. Okay. Moving to naturals. I'm a 6-2, so leader natural myself. So this is something I resonate well with. So this is someone who really enjoys being in their own space, doing things in their own time, and they usually do what they do naturally. And others looking at the naturals will see them as quite fair and democratic as well. They are natural talents, so they will be really noticed for their talents and they will be called out. However, usually they have these hermit part of them that doesn't want to come out because they just want to stay in their own space. So their talent usually gets called out because others will notice them. And waiting for that correct call is their thing, to be called out. And any natural should trust that their talents will be called out, for sure. So a couple of tips for naturals. So because it's a natural talent, yes, the keywords that you could really use is, for example, I'm a talent in so-and-so. Or you could speak, my talent is here to be called out. You could say, I love being absorbed in my own process, working on things, doing things in my own process. You could talk about being fair. You could give examples around how you are democratic and fair. Yes. You could talk about being discerning. So a good judge of what's good, what's bad. Yes. Usually naturals like harmony. So you could speak about how you enjoy harmony, or you can create harmony. another keyword that you can use. And highlights all those things you're naturally skilled at. For example, being a salesperson comes naturally to me. Yes, I'm a natural. I've done sales. So for me, for example, being a salesperson comes naturally to me sounds well to describe me, for example. So calling out that talent and what comes natural to you. If you're considering a new company, a new role, or your next step, consider roles or jobs or things you want to do that really align with your natural inclinations. If it doesn't come natural to you, it's probably not your thing. If you need to force it, study it, push it to make it happen, probably it's not your thing, okay? So you should look at things that come naturally to you. Like for me, I'm doing this masterclass. I can talk for 2 or 3 hours, just building on my knowledge and delivering this. Yeah, it comes naturally to me. I didn't know before that I could do it. I found out once I started trying to do it. Yes, but it comes natural to me. Even if I wasn't running anything, people just asked me to talk about it, I could, for example. So natural things that you do naturally, that you don't need to force. You want to look into those roles and jobs and industries. Also, if you want to move into an organization, a new company, or a different department within your organization, you want to look for those organizations that really value the creativity, the individualism, and that democratic work environment. Again, you can look at their values, the work culture, for example, you want to move into. Again, you may want to talk about how you like doing things independently and how you can collaborate. Yes, because in some roles, I think the business world appreciates a one-man show who can do a lot of things. And as a natural talent, you probably can. But showcasing your independence, how you can work on things alone in your own rhythm, and also in collaboration with others, is a good balance that you can show. Yeah. Depending on what the role requires. Again, stay true to yourself. Don't compromise your own values, your own preferences for a job that doesn't align with your nature. In the interview, or when you're writing your profile or resume, you can speak about success stories. You can offer some maybe specific examples where you were recognized for your talent or your contribution. Again, if you're looking to set up your own business or your own company, concentrate on what comes naturally to you. Okay. If you're going to force it, probably not your thing. All right. If you're a pioneer, you have line 3. So you would be, of course, a person who's really learning through the school of hard knocks, discovering what's not working. And you're someone who's willing to let others know. Okay. So pioneers stand up for change. They like transformation. They'll go and try that thing that nobody wants to try, for example. Sometimes they're burnt at stake for it because that's what being a pioneer takes. And they discover what doesn't work, so they can also discover what works. That's their process. You try things out. This doesn't work. Not good for me. And you just move your way to find out what works for you. Again, others will perceive you as the revolutionary who brings in change. So the trial and error process for you is very important. If you have pioneer in your design and you're in your younger years, definitely recommend you to go to internships, try different companies, try different roles. It's part of your discovery process. You can speak about, for example, how you're a catalyst of change. Because if you're a pioneer, you want to bring change. You want to look into things. You want to try things. So you can talk about this in your resume or in the interview. The other thing with the pioneers is they're very resilient. They're designed to knock, on a wall and fall, and then they get up. Yes, or they're trying to climb up some stairs, they fall, they'll get up and walk. So that's how they're so resilient. That's the good thing about being a pioneer. If you have line 3, if you fall, you'll get up, you'll learn from your mistake, or you'll learn that that doesn't work. You're very resilient, and the tenacity is also there. So you want to speak about these in your resume. Can you find some examples showing your tenacity? Can you find some examples showing your resilience, for example? Also, your ability to see what needs to change, and also bringing that change. These are important. You can talk about your learnings, because your life unfolds through this trial and error process. There's so much learning for you. And the business world appreciates that. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to try things. Yes, business world, usually if they're encompassing, they will speak about these things, and they will ask you, so what did you learn from it? If you learned something from it, it's a positive. Yes, and you probably could find so many examples to speak about if you're a pioneer. Again, that interpersonal adaptability is also there. They can adapt. So for the pioneers, okay. All right, here's the right slide. So keywords. I'm a discoverer. Yes, I'm a determined discoverer. I love trying things and learning and moving on through my learnings. You can speak about the adaptation. I can adapt easily. Give some examples around how you could adapt easily. You can talk about your resilience. I'm very resilient. I'm very determined. If I fall, I get up and move. Yes, you can show examples. Also, you can say, I can learn on the job. Because you move through a trial and error process, you can probably learn on the job. Again, I like changing things. I like building in things. I like bringing new solutions. Like learnings through failure is another keyword if that resonates well with you. So you can talk about that. Okay, let me look at the questions a little bit after covering the pioneer slides. So I'll answer some questions, but let's finish this. Again, emphasize the ability to challenge the status quo. Business world accepts it. Businesses are set up to grow and flourish. Usually, they don't like status quo. Yes, especially if like American companies are even more. Yes, in Europe, maybe it's more stable. And bringing about change, new innovation. So these things are appreciated in the business world. So you can talk about those. Again, look for a company, a role that will appreciate and encourage your innovative thinking and bringing change. You can seek roles really that will tap into your problem-solving skills, bring change as well. The revolutionary parts, for example, if you can find examples of where you stood up in what you believed in, or you made some change in an organization, you brought something new, think of those. You can offer those examples in the interview or on the resume. You can look into, explore, really, do you want to start a new venture? Do you want to establish a startup to try things? Yes, it's part of your process. And definitely emphasize your resiliency, determination, and the never give up attitude. Those are, not everybody has it, but pioneers really have it. So it's something you can think about. You can find some examples from the past around it as well, if they asked you. So if I quote anything in my resume, I always made sure if they asked me, so how are you resilient? I could speak to it. for example, right? If you write something, try to back it up in case they asked you. It's good practice. Now let me look in the questions just a little bit. There are some coming through. Let's see. So Freedom asks, should a 1-3 profile expect to have a certain number of bad fits that don't seem to work? Probably. It's part of your process. Especially if you were making your decisions with your mind in the past, it might have been more. Yeah. As you honor your design, as you really make decisions not with your mind, but with your decision-making strategy as an authority pioneer, you will start enjoying the process, actually. And you will appreciate, because you will get into situations where you're really supposed to go into that and learn from it, and it will serve you well. And I know a lot of people with the pioneer part, for example, and they accept that it's part of their process, and a lot of growth comes through it. Like in the profit potential certification, we also talk. There's a profit potential certification course that you can coach clients with at the institute, and there we talk about your mess is your message. Because you went into all that mess, you learn so much and you grow so much from it. Yeah, your mess becomes your message. So it's part of the process of a pioneer. Freedom. That's what I think. Let's answer some more questions from the chat, the Q&A. What else? Again, from Freedom, we have, in a past role, I became a definite authority in multiple areas, according to hundreds of colleagues asking my advice and work. However, my direct management were consistently incompetent either to be able to recognize my skills, or they found my expertise beyond theirs to be threatening to their positions. At what point should an authority type decide to move on if not recognized in a positive way? Very quickly is the question. I think me being a pioneer kept me struggling too long. And so my recommendation for anybody trying to make decisions, if you're in a situation that you feel is not serving you, just like this example from Freedom, the key to making it right for you is for everyone to honor their own decision-making strategy. And when you start to put your intention into something, the universe will start, and because your energy is at the energetic level, you have an intention there, and energetically the world hears it, and people around you will hear it, even if you're verbally communicating it. Just trust your decision-making strategy. So is it time for you to move on? Like if you're a builder, you can have a good friend of yours ask you questions. If you're trying to decide if it's time for you to move or not, ask a friend to make a list of questions to ask to you about this current role and what you're going through. And also questions about, should you move out? Is it time to move out now? Is it okay to speak to this person now? Things that your gut can respond to if you're a builder. So then through that response session, you can hear what your gut is telling you. Is it time for you to move on? Yes. If you're an advisor, yes, trying to discern if it's time for you to move or not. If you're not feeling good about it, it's probably time. Yes. So then you can look at the recognition, because if the recognition is not there for an advisor, it might be time to move on. Then you need to honor your decision-making strategy. Or sometimes things will happen, and then you could see it as an invitation or a recognition. So things can be seen through different lenses as well. So when I, for example, decided to move out of my corporate job, my role was closed. So they declared to me my role is closed, but I was a talent female leader. They gave me 8 months to look for a job because it's not like they wanted to get rid of me. The role was closed, so they have to declare it to you. A lot of companies went through downsizing. So they say, your role is closed, look for a job. So then as an advisor, I saw that as an invitation to look into where my passion is. And it no longer was in the corporate world, for example. So that was my invitation to move out of the corporate world. So it depends on how you see your recognitions and invitations. Yes. So I saw that as an invitation. There was a lot of recognition for me in this space, coaching, consulting, working with companies, also my teaching. So for example, it's a real life example around me getting an invitation to make the next move for me. Okay, very quickly, moving to the influencer, the line force. So if you are an influencer, you can really attract people and make friends with people, and you have this close network. And if you don't, of course, you're living very much against your nature. Yes, and there might be some things not going well for you if you're an influencer, but you're not engulfed with your networks. But usually, out of all the influencers I've met, 97%, 95 to 97% have this network that they really thrive on. Gifted networker, they can create intimate relationships through their friendliness. And they're also very influential, and they wait for opportunities that they can really build on within their network so they can externalize their truth. They usually thrive on their network. So connecting with strangers, reaching out to people you don't know is not your thing. It usually happens through their network. That's how they get introduced to strangers even. And really, as an influencer, the quality of your life is directly related to the quality of your networks. Because if you're an influencer, you have 4 in your public role, your opportunities will come to you through your networks. So it's important for you. So here are some of the keywords that you can use in your resume or your online profile. You can talk about being an influential networker. Yes, it's important in the business world. We don't exist in a vacuum in the business world. We connect. Yes, there are clients, suppliers, vendors. So interaction and connection is needed in the business world. So that influential networker is valued in the business world. You can think about how you can influence others. You can talk about how you're perceived as friendly and warm. Probably if you're interviewing, the person will already sense it. Yes. You can say friendship is important to me. You can speak like, I can create a network. You can say, if you're a salesperson or you're in customer service, like many of my clients have become friends, so part of your network throughout the years that you could leverage well, probably. So that gift of networking can stand out in your profile or your resume. For influencers, it's usually, not usually, it is recommended not to leave your job until you have another job. Okay, that's how Ra actually recommended it be. So I want to share it with you if you haven't heard it before. Again, your network is your gateway to new jobs, new roles, new business opportunities for you. So you want to leverage that network. Okay. For the job search. You can build on your relationships. So honing on your existing contacts. Again, if you attend networking events, you will probably really make good connections. So then you can influence through that network. Also, like all these online platforms like LinkedIn and others that are out there, they are networks. Yes. So use them, especially people that are connected to you. If you want to connect with, just like I said, like meeting strangers, speaking and engaging with people you don't know, companies you don't know, it shouldn't be a direct process for you, but you can always ask introductions through your own network. And like things like Sales Navigator or these platforms, they can show you how you connect to a person, or you could do it the traditional way of finding somebody, but get introduced through your network is your best way forward. You can get recommendations from people within your network, your previous contacts, your customers, to add to your CV. And while you're interviewing, speak about this. And for an influencer, usually things around relationships or relationship-centric roles serve them well. So if you look for anything new, you can look in like areas like that build on relationships or building on networks. So it could be business development roles, sales roles, community engagement. Even if you're an engineer, they have communities, for example. Public relations might align with you as well. So those are tips and tricks for an influencer. Jessica has a question. How do I overcome the belief that as an advisor and influencer, she's a 4-6, I don't know how to initiate a community or reach out effectively? Jessica, I think for advisors, usually what I find are advisors are usually wise beyond their years. Okay. And you being the influencer / role model, I'm sure you're definitely connected to some communities. So like initiating a community, it should be based on recognition and invitation for you for sure. But being part of a community, being part of a network, I think it would be something that you resonate with, that you can really build on. So just go with the process. And the more you align to being an advisor, the more you align to your decision making, you will be able to act on the right call for you to reach out to the necessary people or to be able to get in touch. Just trust the process, okay? And know that you will know how to do the right thing when the time comes as well. Because the 4s also tend to be very connected, and you being a role model, which I will come to in the leader in the 6, you probably can really whatever it is that you came to do in this world, you will serve the world with it, and you're on a path of becoming that role model in that. Yeah. Just trust the process and always follow your decision-making strategy. That's my short answer to this. Yeah? And then work with your beliefs as well, because our mind is sometimes so strong. We're really told to initiate, told to push, don't go with the flow, always do things. So working with your beliefs, there are a lot of tools out there to work with beliefs and thoughts, could also help as to why you feel that way. Yeah. So that would be my recommendations. Okay, moving to the messenger in the 5. Somebody who has a 5, really someone who can get the word out there. That's why we call them messenger. And they can get the word out there for something that's different, something new, innovative solutions, also very practical solutions. Okay. A messenger is really great at fixing things, solving problems, is their specialty. And others will usually come to the line 5, so the messengers, to look for guidance, to ask for practical solutions. And the way it works best for a messenger is for you to step in, you provide the practical solution, which is probably a lot of the times it will be an out-of-the-box solution. Yes. And then you step away. Because people in crisis are pulled to you to ask for advice during their crisis or when they need you. People around you, you will find, naturally project onto you that you can lead them, you can guide them, you can save them in some ways. So just be careful of that projection, okay? It's what they think you are, but not necessarily are you that. So that step in, provide the solution, step out also works well, because it's not a prolonged relationship where there are a lot of expectations on you that are unmet, okay? Because it's people's projections. It wasn't what you are truly, you truly are in the first place. So be careful about that. So keywords in your CV or your profile, or things to mention in the interviews. So you can say, I provide practical solutions to problems. Give some examples. Yes, you can say problem solving is one of my strengths. Sometimes they ask you, so what are your strengths? So you can mention problem solving and practical solutions. Or you can say, I like providing out-of-the-box solutions. And here's an example. So you can speak about how you are able to get the word out there and communicate to audiences, how you like fixing things. You can talk about being a practical marketer as well, getting the word out there about something. And usually with the messengers, opportunities come to you through people you don't directly personally know. So it wouldn't be like in the influencers, it was their close network. With the messengers, it's usually maybe friends of friends, or a friend of your colleague, for example. So not your immediate circle, but the next circle usually is where your opportunities come as a messenger. So then you want to maintain your online presence. So these strangers that connect to you through others as well can see you. Yes, and in that in your resume or on your online profile, you want to speak to your accomplishments, your innovative solutions. For example, you might be doing thought leadership in your field. So just make sure you're mentioning all these. You can, that problem solving, thinking outside the box, find some examples around that so you can offer, yes, in your interview as well. So speak about your unique approach, what makes you different in a way. And also, if you are part of like bigger professional groups, industry organizations, or even on LinkedIn or other platforms. I know I said LinkedIn a lot, but I don't know what else is there. So yes, so those online platforms, you could, if you're part of those communities as well, and you offer some solutions there, or you share your thoughts, you could also be recognized if it feels correct for you in those areas. And last but not least, we come to the 6th line, the leader, or we also call it the role model leader, and which I am also. So I resonate well with this one. Yes, I'm on the conscious side. I'm a leader. So if you have this in your profile, others will see you as somebody they can trust, somebody they can come to for your objective advice, for your guidance. And you will see yourself as an observer who's objective. Yes, you don't personalize things, you just observe. Who leads as a role model, okay? Who leads by example. So there's a lot of wisdom and experience, and you actually will have a rooftop view of seeing things. you become really this role model, a living role model of an aware person, and you live your unique, you live your uniqueness, and by doing that, you're a role model. Yes, and others will come to you for advice because they trust you. So tips and tricks, some keywords I can offer for you to use. Of course, the role model. You can say, I'm a role model to my team. I've been a role model to my peers. I'm a living example of what it means to be something, for example. For example, what else? The living example, for example, if you're a salesperson or a support person, like demoing your product, actually being able to use your product very well is one thing. Yes, if you're selling computers and you can use all the functions of it very well, so then that's an example person, yes, that you're a role model to others around how to make best use of the device that you're selling, for example. So those things also factor in. You can speak about how you see the big picture. For example, I have a bird's eye view of what's going on in the market. Okay, things like that. Or that the trusting part. I'm naturally trusted by my team. I'm naturally trusted by my peers or my manager. Yes. Or like that giving advice, like if your colleagues, people around you come to you for advice and guidance, or maybe you're mentoring young people, you can speak about these, about your authenticity as well, and how you can influence others. Again, for leaders, opportunities can come to you from complete strangers. So you want to really craft a strong personal brand. Yes. Highlight your ability to provide objective guidance and leadership. You can prepare examples of leadership. Okay? And it doesn't have to be that you're a manager or you're actually a leader, but things you took leadership in. Yeah. Which happens, yes, if you're empowered and you feel like it, you can take a lead role in many things without being a manager or a leader or a company owner. So you can prepare examples around that. Again, actively listen, because that ties into your being an objective observer as well. When you can listen well, it will show the other person that you're genuinely interested in the conversation and the role being discussed. And also, it will also help you tailor your answers and showcase yourself as well. Again, emphasizing your commitment to these high levels of professionalism and interactions in your integrity in your interactions could be one thing, if it's important to you, of course. Yes, and this kind of ties in with your being the trusted leader, or the person that others come to you for guidance and as a role model. Olga, yes, there'll be a replay. Juliana, I'll answer your question at the very end. Let's cover the content and then we'll come back to it. Just a few more tips and tricks. I know we're almost at 2 hours, but I had so much to say, so I didn't want to make it short. But the recording will be there if you're interested. You can just listen to the pieces that you are interested in. Another thing I want to bring up, if you have willpower undefined, which is 63% of the population, it's important that you don't undervalue yourself, okay? Because people with undefined willpower, the heart undefined, which is a lot, it's 63% of the population, you may have a tendency to undervalue yourself, your skills, your accomplishments, or you always set the bar up so high for yourself. You're always trying to reach something. Okay? So be careful. Don't undervalue it. Don't settle for anything less than what you deserve for in your role selection and acceptance. And don't accept a paycheck below your worth, okay, just because you found a role. So these are the pitfalls of an undefined willpower. So be careful. You are worthy. So just relax. You have nothing to prove and improve. You're just perfect the way you are. Okay. So that's another thing I wanted to mention. Very quickly, I'm going to show you a small example from my LinkedIn profile. Or even better, let's look at so they're practically the same, okay? Because I've left Microsoft now, it's showing my other information as well. So like here, I'm speaking about my experience in management and business development because I'm a leader natural. So that makes me a leader with lots of experiences. Then, for example, I was a Microsoft Gold Club winner, inspiring teams to bring forth their authentic best. So I'm a role model. That's my way of putting my role model in a way. And I could inspire as a leader, yes, the teams, to my teams as I worked as a leader, as a people manager, to bring their authentic best. Then I can show you some more examples. This is the CV I used when I was in the corporate world. Okay. So as you can see, like on the side, I don't know if it's big enough, but maybe we can just, my resolution might not be that good. But as you can see, it says a performance-driven female leader. Yes, I'm a leader, natural, and I was a leader at Microsoft as well. With so many years in sales, for example. A role model to my team that comes from my 6, yes, supporting them to bring their authentic best forward, me being an advisor. So you can see that. Like a Gold Club winner and an advisor, and I was recognized for it as a female talent. They called it talent, so and natural talent, it rhymes, it matches my profile as well. A female talent, part of EMEA Women Leadership Program. So I'm a leader, see? And then speaking about like guiding, also speaking to my coaching practice and my teaching practice, guiding individuals. I'm an advisor, I'm a guide, guiding individuals in their personal and career growth and fulfillment. See how I've like, these are the words that I choose to represent me in my corporate CV when I used to apply for roles. And then there are details, like there are examples around as a role model, things that I do, how did I grow the business? So always small examples, like, so they would know that I've done it. Again, like here, for example, I used the role model again, a role model who's fulfilled by making her team members successful. As a manager, we had like employee signal striving index. I was 11 points above the company average. Okay, so things like this, you can weave into your resume. So your design is reflected, all the good things about you is reflected within your resume. So these very small writing, but these are the things that I wanted to highlight. So you could choose to do similar things. Okay. All right. Moving on. Now we have completed the content very quickly. Because I get asked this question and we have new people and not everybody is familiar with BG5, I'm just going to show you there is more to BG5 than the personal application. So we can work with small groups of people who come together. So we can provide analysis, interaction, communication, gap engineering with BG5 knowledge. And also for large business organizations, we can also provide guidance. Okay. So there's so much in BG5 that you can offer. What that BG5 offers you, and if you're a consultant that you can offer to your clients, maybe I should put it that way. So what I covered in this webinar was more around the personal application of it and taking advantage of your design in the real world. But there's so much more to BG5. So if you're interested, I invite you to explore it more. People also ask me for the Institute curriculum. So this is, I just put it here for reference, so you have it in the recording as well. So if you're interested in studying the BG5 knowledge, you need to start with the foundation. It's 2 semesters. And then you can go into consultant certification, which is 3 semesters. Once you're a consultant, you can go into advanced certifications. So as you can see, for example, we have the OC16, large business consultancy. This one I'm going to offer in January, for example. We have profit potential, as I shared with you, and then we have cycles. Okay, so this is the curriculum. If you're interested in studying more, finding out more, really utilizing this for you or for others in the business world, this is the track. And very quickly, I wanted to share with you the classes that I am going to offer. I don't know if Veronique is still around, but she's going to assist me in the foundation course that's coming up. So I'm very excited for that. Veronique also has many, many years, more than me definitely, in the business world. So Veronique will come live to classes. If you want to introduce yourself, Veronique, very briefly, for those who are interested, I would love to give you the opportunity and give you this invitation. And then Phoebe is going to do, she's going to do the forum. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here and actually proud and happy to be with Banu for the next set of training in BG5 Foundation. And as she said, I've been in the corporate world for many years, and I am a 5-1, so I am a messenger and oh, sorry, in English doesn't come to me, and an auditor authority. And I can, if I turn back and look at what have happened in my business life so far, I really worked in many crisis situations to help and support and solve problems. So it's so, BG5 is so right that even today, I'm still amazed how right it is. It's all I have to say for tonight. Thank you, Banu, and bye-bye.
Beautiful. Everyone. Well, thank you for being here, Veronique. I'm looking to starting our class this week with as many participants as possible, because as Veronique said, I also believe in the power of this information. As you can see, I really believe we could do so much with the knowledge. So this masterclass was actually a demonstration of the real world application of what you can do with this information. It's not just knowledge. I'm a builder, whatever profile. Yeah, I know, because our minds, once you know the knowledge, you think it's enough, but then if you can really apply it, take advantage of it in the real business world, you will move miles. You will be amazed, and you'll be amazed with what easiness and such flow that you do it. It would be amazing for everyone, I truly believe. So there are more questions, I think. And just to mention, so I'm doing the foundation course starting on the 25th of September. There's a certification course I'm offering as well. So that already started, but just putting it out there. And then I will offer in January again with a very seasoned business person, with Boris, who has 30 years of experience in the corporate world. We're going to be offering an OC16 consultant course as well. So that's coming up if you're interested. Now I'm going to go back to the questions. So again, Freedom says, usually a job, contract, or military role requires following directions, commands, orders, whether we like it or not, with little flexibility to align with our own authority. Do you have any suggestions for dealing with conflicts between our internal authority versus external superiors? Yeah. So my recommendation is honor your decision-making and your internal authority and how you're feeling, for sure, within the workplace. Some things, of course, if we said we don't exist in a vacuum, I've used it a couple of times. So you're not alone in the business world, and things need to be adjusted. Sometimes it's a give and take. Sometimes you got to do things that you don't really enjoy or agree with, and it's part of the bargain. That's how the old world actually functions. In BG5, we talk about the times are changing. We're moving from the era of planning, which was all about the institutions, and the individual didn't have so much value. You obeyed the orders, and you were a good worker or a soldier, whatever. Yes. And then you climbed up through the ladder and you got paid. Now we're moving into the era of the individual. That's why so many people are questioning the institutions. They're questioning whether they should do the role just for a paycheck. And people no longer say yes to that. So try to manage it to the extent that you can. But if your internal authority, your decision-making, as well as your interaction style, your personal interaction style, so that having that recognition, that invitation, or the things that you're responding to, and your gut or your intuition is telling you to move on, you're no longer happy there, try to work on a plan around how that will be. So number one, it starts with setting the intention that you're going to move out of that organization. And then you can start making a plan around how you will do it. So I'm not saying we should leave everything that we don't like. Life always brings us stuff that needs to be managed somehow. But if it's really against your values and it's really no longer serving you, then work on a plan, set the intention, and trust the process. Yes, when you're really living in alignment with yourself, you will align to the right opportunities for you. Things will start appearing in your life, and that will lead you to that success, feeling of peace or satisfaction as well. Let's see if there are any questions that I didn't answer. I'm scrolling back. Okay, so I think I answered everything in the Q&A. Let's take a look at the chat. Oh, there was Juliana had a question around. So she says, thank you for this great webinar. Let's see if she's still here to answer. Yes, she is. Okay. Could you tell me, please, why are so few BG5 instructors through the IHDS professionals? So she says there's no one in Russia, Ukraine, Europe, just a few in US. Yeah, so there are, so Juliana, from a BG5 official instructor's point of view, the Institute currently only offers classes in English, and we are 3 instructors that offer it. So we have 3 semesters, the first one starting in September, and then in January, we start another one in May. Each of us takes a foundation class in every semester. So we start something and then it leads into advanced certifications. This is how the Institute is organized. From a time zone perspective, we like Mike is in the US. He does like US time zone. I'm in Europe. I do Europe time zone usually. So there's something that everybody can reach out to. We also have independent instructors. We have people doing it in Dutch, in Italian, Bulgarian, Romanian, Italian, German. What else? There are more. So if you go to the BG5BI website, you can see the independent instructors who instruct in their local languages. So you could, for Russia and Ukraine, I know people in training, but I don't know if they're to do local languages. Yes, so if your local language is not available, you can do the English one, and the knowledge is expanding. It's becoming, there's so much attention to it, so much recognition around it, and people wanting to learn more. people understanding that BG5 is just so much more than just the personal application of human design as well, because we can work with teams, we can work with large organizations, we look at the profit potential. There's so much depth into it. So there's a lot of interest in it as well, and it's growing by the day. For example, my assistant in the foundation, Phoebe, is going to teach in Chinese. She's going through her instructor training in Chinese, or instructor training, and she's going to teach in Chinese. So there are going to be more instructors along the way as well, because there's interest in it. But still in its early stages, there's still room for it to penetrate into the business world. But it will definitely make a difference. So whenever I really go into coach organizations, companies, there is an awe. I work with leaders, I work with their teams as a consultant, and it brings so much value to them. It's unbelievable. So it will grow in time. All right. Well, with that, I want to thank all of you for being here, and also to those of you who are catching up on the recordings. Always feel free to connect to me, write me, send me an email. That's my email address and my LinkedIn on that slide. So thank you for the time, and I'm looking forward to meet all of you in time, hopefully. Take care. Goodbye. All right, thank you. Goodbye, everybody.